Welcome to the Parents Math Tutor. If you already watched my addition and subtraction strategies video for parents, you already have the tools you need to teach your children addition and subtraction at home. But this video is just for your students. Have them sit down in front of the computer and follow along with a 3-digit addition and subtraction video with me. Let's get started. All right, friends, let's jump right into subtraction with regrouping. I will model this problem for you, and then we'll do another one where you get to practice on your own. Let me read the problem to you twice, and we'll figure out what we know and what we don't know. Peter Cottontail collected 716 vegetables, 345 were cabbage, and the rest were carrots. How many carrots did Peter Cottontail collect? I'm going to read it one more time. Peter Cottontail collected 716 vegetables, 345 were cabbage, and the rest were carrots. How many carrots did Peter Cottontail collect? Okay, we know that the total amount of vegetables that Peter Cottontail collected was 716. So that's something I already know in the problem. I also know that part of what he collected was 345. Part of the vegetables were cabbage. What I don't know is how many carrots he collected. So I'm going to turn this information into a strip diagram. This is an organizational tool to keep track of what we know and what we don't know. We can put the total, or we also call that the whole, on top of the strip diagram. And then we're going to put the two parts on the bottom, the part we know and the part we don't know. So we know 345 and we don't know carrots. So I'm just going to use a question mark. All right. If I know the total, which is 716, and I know one part, if I separate the part from the whole, and I can imagine a little subtraction sign, I'll figure out how many are left over. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take 716 and subtract 345. But notice, I'm breaking it apart into place value. I'm breaking it apart into expanded form. So I line up my tens, my hundreds, and my ones, and I always start in the ones place. So 6 minus 5 is 1, but I can't do 10 minus 40. So I have to take 100 away from the hundreds place, and then I can do the rest of the subtraction. 110 minus 40 is 70. If I can't do that in my head, if that's hard, I could draw a pictorial model of 110. So there's 110, and I can literally cross out 70. There we go. So what I have left over is 70. And then 600 minus 300 is 300. 300 plus 70 plus 1 is 371. That means Peter Cottontail collected 371 carrots. All right, friends, hopefully you were able to pay attention to how we did that first problem. We read the information, we figured out what we know and what we don't know. We organized the information, and then we split the numbers up into expanded form, and we performed the subtraction starting in the ones place. I want you to get out a piece of paper and a pencil, or a whiteboard and a marker, and I want you to try to solve this problem before I get to the end. Now, I know this is kind of a challenging problem, so I'm going to do a lot of the setup with you. Then I'll blur my screen and you can figure out the rest of the subtraction on your own, and we'll see if you were able to get the right answer. I'm going to read this problem 2 times, and then we're going to figure out what we know and what we don't know, and then you'll join me drawing the strip diagram. Here we go. Scuba Steve collected 812 seashells from the bottom of the ocean. He gave 467 to his buddy, Captain Cody. How many did Scuba Steve have left? Okay, I'm going to read it one more time. Scuba Steve collected 812 seashells from the bottom of the ocean. He gave 467 to his buddy, Captain Cody. How many did Scuba Steve have left? All right, so first we need to figure out what we know and what we don't know. we know that Scuba Steve collected 812 seashells, and that's the total. That's the whole number of seashells that he found. And then we also know that he gave away 467 to Cody. And I'm writing gave away in all capitals because that's going to tell us what operation we need to solve this problem. That operation is subtraction. Okay, and then what we don't know is how many he has left. So go ahead and join me, draw a strip diagram, and let's put the total on top, 812. And let's put two parts on the bottom, 467, and then our unknown, what we don't know. Feel free to pause the video at any time to catch up. All right, we know we have to subtract, so I'm going to break 800 into 800 plus 10 plus 2, and we are subtracting 400 plus 60 plus 7. We always start in the ones place. Okay, so before you start solving, I have some tips and tricks to help you be more successful. The first thing I need to say is that when you're lining up expanded form, you need to always write the operation. The operation means plus or minus, okay? If you don't remember to write it down right here, halfway through solving, you might forget. And if you forget, you're going to get the wrong answer. So always write the operation. And then my other tip to make you more successful is that you need to line your numbers up. The hundreds should be with the hundreds. The tens should be with the tens. And the ones should be with the ones. Okay, I'm going to blur my screen now. And I want you to pause the video and solve. And then click play when you're ready to reveal the answer. All right, pause the video if it's still playing so you have time to solve. All right, friends, so there we have it. 345 is your final answer. Scuba Steve has 345 seashells left over. Let me go ahead and go over what I did. First, I figured out that I could not do 2 minus 7. So I did the 10 from the tens place. I took that and I moved it to the ones place, which left 0 in the tens place. I know that 12 minus 7 is 5, so I was able to do that. Now moving to the tens place. So I had to get 100 from the hundreds place. So the 800 changed into a 700. And then I moved the 100. I'm just rearranging. I'm just regrouping. I moved the 100 to the tens place. And now I can do all of my subtraction. 100 minus 60 is 40. 700 minus 400 is 300. So my final answer is 345. Great job today, friends.
Thank you so much for joining me today on the Parents Math Tutor. Please leave a like and a subscribe. Tell others about our channel to help the channel grow so that everybody can have some free math tutoring. See you later. Bye.